Yeah, hi everyone. First, let me thank you guys for still sitting here in this late Friday afternoon. So I'm Weilin Li, a research scientist at Children's, a nonprofit research organization. So most of our job are for contracts and grants for federal and state governments. And my job is to play with data, like data processing, evaluation analysis, and predictive analytics. So today I will talk about web traffic data. So this is actually a small part of what I'm doing every day, but I think it's the most interesting part. So I'm more than happy to share what I've learned about web traffic data with you today. So first, let me do a survey. How many of you actually use Google Analytics for your company? Oh, that's good. Thank you. And how many of you speak R or Python? Yeah, way better. Thank you. Yeah. So you'll see I've been trying to combine the Google Analytics data and R and Python. So I'll give you a brief overview of Google Analytics because I noticed there's only a small proportion of people who've been using Google Analytics. There are many platforms that an organization can use to share information with intended audiences. Traditionally, those platforms are mails, phones, and broadcast media. Nowadays, more and more organizations are using websites to share information and to engage activities with their services. So how can we know who actually visited those websites? And are those users, website users, the intended audiences? And are those users, when they visit the website, when they access the website, do they actually get what they needed? So we've been using Google Analytics. Well, there are many web analytics tools, but we've been using Google Analytics to answer those questions for organizations, well, in our case, federal and state governments. And that's why I want to give an overview of what Google Analytics actually provide. It provides a very broad range of information. So the first part of it is about the audience, about the users of web analytics. Well, I'll share my slides later, so you don't have to take notes. The first part is about demographics. I'll get back to this in detail later. It's the age and the gender, the estimated age and gender of the visitors. And the second category is about interest. Is this user tended to be interested in more like in real estate or in healthcare? And also geographic information, the language of the browser, the location of the user. I'll get back to this way more in detail later. And also behavior. Basic behaviors of the users, like are they new users or returning visitors? Are they frequently visiting this website? Are they very well engaged into the website activities? Also, technology information. Are they coming here to the website using Firefox on a Mac or Android tablet or iPhone? Also, the second broad category is acquisition. It's actually I don't know why Google came up with this name. It's just the traffic, where those people come from, the channels. Are they from direct link to the website, or they are from links from an email or from other websites? Or are they from Twitter or Facebook messages? Or whether they are from searches from Google or Yahoo or Bing, any search engines. If they come to the website from search engines, Google Analytics also provides the search terms that they've been using to reach this website. So that's been very helpful if the company want to do any like search engine optimization. So the third category is behavior, the very detailed behaviors of the visitors. Oh, thank you for closing that door. So the very detailed behavior of those visitors. It's like the site content, which web pages the visitors have been using, how they came through different web pages through the course of their visit to the website, and also their landing and exiting web pages. Also the site speed, how long it took the typical user to load a web page. Also the site search. For some websites that had a search box on the websites that users can use to search within the website. I'll go back to this in way more detail later. And also the events, like the PDF downloading events, the music listening, the video watching, those kind of events. So I'll give you 2 examples. First is demographics, age and gender. When we talk with people, especially those people who care about privacy a lot, they got nervous when they see the age and gender. So this is very rough estimation from Google. They did these estimates from the Google Display Network. So if the visitor visit other websites, not the website that you're tracking, other websites that partnered with Google Display Network. So Google record a number on the user's browser, well, through cookie, to remember that visit. So that number or that cookie record is actually specific to the browser in a specific computer. So it's not specific to the user. So it's not very accurate, and it's just rough estimation. But still, it gave us some interesting findings. For example, this is one of our projects with the state government. And we find their users, a majority of their users are actually women aged from 25 to 34 years old. And this is a very interesting contrast because we know on the internet, more than half of the visitors are actually men. The majority of their visitors are actually women, and pretty young women. The second example is about traffic. It's about how to bring people to the website. This is especially important for state and federal government. If they want to broadcast their resource to educators, to healthcare providers, and if they want to outreach to community people, where they should do. If they want to send out campaign emails, when they should send out that email. If they want to tweet, when they should tweet. So when you download those data, massive visit data from Google Analytics, you can aggregate them and process them. So you can get information like at what time during a typical day or what day during a typical week does a typical user actually visit this website. So you can get figures like this. So the blue line is average number of sessions. Sessions, like you can understand, is number of visits. And the orange line is number of page views, web page views per each session. So we see that more visits occurred on Tuesday, definitely not over weekends. About 10 a.m. to around 2 p.m. during the day. So for this state government, when should they send out the email to their audience, those healthcare providers? I guess it's 10 a.m. on Tuesday. I'll pause here to see whether there are any immediate questions. I know we all have a Q&A list session after the talk. Nope, okay. So about the geographic information, we are all interested in maps. Google do provide like language used in the browser and also location of the users. Google offered the location in continents, countries, regions, and cities and a metro level. Like this map is directly from Google Analytics. It is the city map. So like whether the user is from New York or Boston City. And also from the metropolitan area, whether it's from the New York metropolitan area or the Boston metropolitan area. So we can see that this information is not very precise. So it's only at city or metropolitan area. Also, my personal experience also from my discussions from my colleague is it's not very accurate. My personal experience is I live in South New Hampshire, so on the border of New Hampshire and Massachusetts. About 2 years ago, Google Analytics thought I lived in New York. Last year, it's better, Google Analytics finally think I moved to downtown Boston, about 15 miles away from me. And recently, it changed its mind to Pepperell, Massachusetts, about 6 miles away from me. So you can tell it's working really, really hard to get more and more accurate. But it's still not the accuracy that we want. We want a very detailed, especially for some of our clients, they want a very detailed street address from users so that they can perform community outreach. And this could be also useful, like when people search a public service, like a library or a playground or a public childcare programs. Where do these users really want the public service to locate at? So this is very detailed street information. And we got such by combining Google Analytics data using some data science tools. What we used here is site search. So remember I said Google Analytics provides this site search for websites that provide a search box. Example is this website. It's a national resource center that provides resource to families, parents, providers, childcare providers, and those program directors and educators. So they have a search box here. People can enter their terms and do the search. Another example is the Minnesota government. They have this search box that parents can use to search childcare programs. So parents can enter their street address into this search box and search the childcare programs around this street address. So from this, and Google Analytics recorded all street addresses that all parents had been using to do the search over a certain time period. So we obtain a list of street addresses, then we can plot them. So we first convert these street addresses to latitude and longitude using the R library GG map. We use the geocode function to convert the street address to latitude and longitude, and use the lapply to apply this function to each one of them. And then the next step is to we plot this latitude and longitude on the map. I don't know whether I need to go through each line. Well, the first line is just to output the map into a PNG file. The last line is just to device off it. And so the first map function is just to plot the state boundary line of Minnesota. And the second line is to plot the county boundary in gray for the Minnesota. And the points function is to plot the latitude and longitude as the points on the map. And this is what we got. These are not real data for the privacy point purpose, but these are simulated data from the real clusters from real data. Oh, questions?
For real data, do you see it in the whole traffic from mobile, or do you see a lot of that in
It really depends. And it also depends on how the people build the website. If their website is mobile friendly, we'll see a very nice trend of more and more people has been visiting the website from mobile phones. So it really depends. That's very interesting. And it will be great if we can talk with a certain Google people who work at Google Analytics team and to know where they got the information and how they track people's geographic location. But that's very interesting that you think if people use mobile device, things will be more accurate. Yeah, go ahead. I think they are using IPs, although Google Analytics does not provide people's IP, but I think they're using people's IP address to pinpoint users. But when Google tried to pinpoint my location, it's never really accurate, nor did my colleagues at Maryland or DC area. That's very interesting. Oh, go ahead. Thank you for asking, but I forgot to mention part of this. So 2 points to answer your question. First is everyone can have the Google Analytics account for their own website or for their company's own website. And for the site search part is if you have the search term in your URL, it's very easy to do that. But if not, and it's your IT person, it's very hard to talk with, you'll have to have virtual page views. So if you encounter that problem, email me. I know how to solve them. The second is how to obtain this data. Because most of them are federal and state government, to obtain those data is really from them because they want us to do the analysis, so they give us access. But one thing that I'm 100% sure is about state government is if state government has the website, they always want the people like academic researchers to do research about their website usage. They always want to know about their users. If you reach out to them, they are very happy to work with you. Well, this is the case with almost all state governments that I've been working with. Okay. So yeah, these are simulated data, but from real clusters. Also, the second way is you think the map I showed just now is too not very fine-grained. You want to see it on a street map, like a Google map. You want to see the street address. And there's also a way to do it. You do a quick map query using ggmap, the library. Bless you. And you add those geographic points onto the street map. And here is what you get. So this is a very clear map showed to the state leaders where they should perform their outreach, community outreach. And they also think it's very important to check this information over time because it's a very good indicator for how successful their community outreach is. Also for public services like playground, public library, and childcare programs, it's good for the state leaders to know where these demands are because this map basically shows the demand side of those public service. So if they want to have a new one, where should these things locate? But for many websites that from this, yeah, so people do the search on the search bar, and then Google Analytics record that search. So I got data through Google Analytics. Is that clear? Yeah. Yeah, so there are also other websites, like the first one I showed you. They do not have the address search bar. What they had is just a general search terms that people can enter into what terms they're interested in to search within the website. So this is also interesting to discover what is the abstract topic that occurred frequently that users are mostly interested in. That, I guess everyone knows the answer is topic modeling in natural language processing. So we can just use, do you guys pronounce it sklearn or scikit-learn? Scikit-learn. Okay, I know the third pronunciation now. So through the scikit-learn package in Python, you use the NMF factorization to decompose the vectors that people, the terms that people had been used to generate a document term matrix, and to have the list of the vocabulary list, and then you decompose this vocabulary list to get, here I'm setting as 6 topics, and then you can just print out topics that are associated with each topic. You can print out the words that are associated with each topics. For the privacy purpose, I really couldn't show any results here, but you get the idea. I guess that's it. The last word I want to say is to innovate, is to combine. Trying to combine Google Analytics with our data science tools has been really fun for me. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead. That's a very good question. I initially, in Google Analytics, you can download data from CSV, but that's very tedious because their CSV file has headers and footers. So what you can do is automatically has the Google Analytics send out emails to your email box, and then use R to purposefully access the email box and to clean the data. All right. Go ahead. From the way that users just click different links, Google can provide those address from just the visits to the website, but it's only at city level or metropolitan level. It's not very accurate or precise. Yeah, because that's where users entered their address to search. Oh, go ahead.
Do you take any Google Analytics data and combine it with any server-side or client-side logging from the website itself?
Yes, I do. Thank you for asking, because part of the initial, when I was planning for this talk, was to have some web scraping part into it, but I didn't involve it because I don't know how to delete those codes with privacy and those things. Yes, I do. And it's been fun to try to combine those data.
Do you have problems with the different sort of units of analysis? I mean, I struggled initially with like what a session is in Google Analytics versus what our tokens are for our website.
What I really struggled is just the geographic location, because you don't know where the city, how they define the city, and you don't know how they define the latitude boundary and longitude boundary of the city. That's the part where I most struggle with. Yeah, I guess that's it. Thanks.